Good evening, everyone. I am Sakshi. I'm from StoryMirror, and I'm super excited to host today's amazing webinar. I would like to thank everyone for joining us today, taking their time out. This might be a busy Friday evening, but you all joined, and thank you for that. A little about International Yoga Day, which is celebrated on June 21st of every year. It promotes the physical, mental, and spiritual benefits of yoga. It highlights the cultural significance of yoga, encourages mindfulness, and brings people together of all communities to celebrate and practice this ancient tradition, emphasizing its role in promoting a balanced and a healthier lifestyle. So we are very glad to host a session, a webinar on this, informative topic. And now I'll tell you a little bit about StoryMirror. As India's leading literature tech platform, we here at StoryMirror are dedicated to providing a dynamic space for writers from all backgrounds. Our mission is to transform India into a literary paradise, and it all starts with one individual. Individuals possess remarkable abilities to affect substantial change just through their words. Writing connects people and it nurtures our innate thirst for knowledge. And today I'm very happy to celebrate two such individuals who are right there on your screen. I would begin the webinar by introducing our authors, Mr. Vishwanath Iyer and Ms. Madhavi Subramanian, who have very kindly agreed to share their knowledge and their experiences from their personal lives about yoga and spirituality. So first, I would like to introduce Mr. Vishwanath Iyer. He is a fourth generation yoga researcher, writer, teacher, and practitioner from one of Bharat's oldest yoga families. He integrates yoga with modern and traditional Bharatiya ethos and scientifically explains about different yoga concepts. He has penned down two books, A Seeker's Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which describes the beauty of the Bhagavad Gita with modern examples for better understanding for people like you and I who don't have much knowledge about it, and the Yoga Manual, which is a DIY book that acts together as a yoga track and measure guide for ourselves, so we can track ourselves. And he also extensively writes about yoga on his own website, which is called the School of Yoga. Our next author and co-speaker for today is Miss Madhavi Subramanian. She is an international yoga gold medalist, a top performer in the Indian Navy and Air Force courses. Her 30-year journey spans from being a commander in the Indian Navy to corporate sales and business development, and finally to the wellness industry. Her debut book is titled 30 Minutes a Day to Immunity and Health, which offers personalized wellness solutions that blend yoga, naturopathy, and Ayurveda with modern methods to promote healthy living and a healthier lifestyle. So, thank you both for joining.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I have a set of questions prepared for you guys, but before that, if there is anything that you would like to say, please go ahead.
Go ahead, Sakshi. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I think you should take the lead. Yeah.
Okay. So first, we would like to know, what does the term yoga mean to you both personally?
Okay, so should I start? So yoga, see, when I was studying yoga, I did two deep courses in yoga. Yoga means, technically it means union. So when at a very high level, at a very spiritual level, yoga is like atma se paramatma ka milan. It's like conscious to supreme conscious, however you recognize that supreme conscious as, that is yoga. But let's not go there. There is a lot of, it's a long journey, long path to go there. When we step down a lot and then, make it relevant to our daily lives, yoga itself means union, union or integration of our thoughts and actions, our intentions and our actions, or our feelings and our expressions. So it is basically the union, the integration. We like we say there's a lot of stress hitting individuals. The stress is nothing but when you want to do something, your mind is telling you to do something, and your body, your actions are completely doing something else. Or you are not really feeling good about what you're doing, or you want to do something, maybe you want to study something else and you end up studying something else, or you want to do. So that there is when that disintegration happens, when you get peeled off from within, that is when the stress happens. So yoga basically essentially keeps the things together. So that is what yoga means to me. Like, and another one very small basic example I want to give here, Sakshi, like when you look at little children, children at the age of 3, 4 or 5, you see how bubbly they are. They're actually completely integrated. They just express. They want to do something, they just do. They just express. So they are so lively. It's only, even Western psychologists say, it's only when human being hits the age of 6 or 7, they start looking at out external world. They want to please external world. That is when that disintegration happens. Your personality is something else, and you veer toward away from what you actually are. So that is the root cause of whatever you may call it, the our psychological issues or the diseases within our body, dysfunctions or whatever. So that is where it begins. So yoga to me is union and complete integration.
So am I supposed to speak now?
Yes, sir, please.
Okay.
That is your cue.
Okay. I mean, I'm in complete agreement with Madhavi ji. Yoga essentially means is coming from the Sanskrita cognate of the English word yoke. So yoga is a yoking. Now the question is, yoking of what? It is the yoking of any two entities. So let us say it is the yoking of me with my destiny. That's one form of yoking. It is the yoking of a husband with a wife. It is the yoking of the child with the parent. So any form of yoking where there is transaction is yoga. Now, when this transaction can occur at 3 levels. First is the material level. This is what you see is what you get. That is, suppose I have a transaction with my mobile phone. This is a nominal transaction. It is a material transaction. As we increase in cognitive capability, what happens is we begin to recognize the natural state of every entity, the swabhava. The cognitive aspect of our union increases. Now, when that increases, we begin to talk in terms of consciousness. We no longer relate to just the material aspect, but also to the subconscious and the cognitive aspect of each other. When this happens, then you are able to understand the underlying meaning with which the other person is coming. Let me give you a very simple example. My yoga with my eyes. So my eyes have a natural state. They can see. But if I go into the subtleties of what my eyes can do, if you will notice, I'm wearing specs. That means there is some dysfunctionality of my eyes. The natural state of my eyes is a particular level. Now, until I come to terms with that yoga of the conditioning of my eye, the natural state of my eye, I will never be at peace. So, the yoking of me with the natural state of any entity I have is a yoga. As you increase in the subtlety with which what you do, you begin to then integrate with the soul. That is, the atma or the soul begins to resonate with the other. So what essentially I'm trying to say is that when the two of us or two entities are talking to each other, there is a barrier. We are always having a barrier or a filter between each other. As we go deeper from the physical or the material element to the conscious element, to the soul level, that barrier begins to fall. And when that barrier begins to fall, the schism or the duality that we have, you and me, good and bad, right and wrong, begins to disappear. When that disappears, the you and me becomes us. There is a merger, there is a resonance. This resonance is called laya. And laya is the Sanskrita cognate of the English word love. So in our system, love is not a chemical reaction. It is not some kind of physical attraction, but a merger, a resonance. So for a husband and a wife, when they resonate, they are in a state of merger. When you merge with the source, that is when your own atma merges with the source, where you came from, that merger is also a laya. And that laya is what we call moksha. So this is the various levels of yoga as I see it. Sakshiji, over to you.
The way you both talk with so much integrity about yoga, I'm sure we could not have better speakers for this. Which takes me to the next question. What was, your motivation behind writing your books? Where did the idea come from?
Madhavi ji, over to you.
Okay. Okay. So let me start with the motivation or the purpose of writing this book. Firstly, it is very easy for the body to stay disease free. Like, we all are born with certain natural integral health. So it is only what we do with it causes diseases. So when I was practicing yoga, I saw the impact that yoga had on me, and I also started giving little modules to people around who would trust me. And then I saw the impact on them, and then I realized, and as I studied yoga, as I went deeper into the subject, I realized it's very easy to stay disease free. And body, like Newton's laws of motion, the body tends to be in continuous movement, or that inertia. So the individual inherent tendency of the body is to stay healthy. So whatever we do, we give it a little push, it goes back to its inherent healthy self. It's just that what we eat, what we drink, what we inhale, that's what takes our body away from its natural state. So for us to get, and we cannot avoid it, right? We cannot stay in bubble all the while, like unlike COVID times when we were really made to stay in that bubble and we were confining ourselves. That's not the way we are designed to exist. We are supposed to go around, meet people, we are supposed to integrate, we are supposed to socialize. So we will be exposed to certain, harmful chemicals or certain impurities. So what we need to do is we need to correct those, whatever happens to our body at the earliest. So at the earliest, I mean, like today we go out, we drink, we eat somewhere, we inhale some polluted air and all that. Next morning, you give yourself little time, as little as 30 minutes, just about 30 minutes. And you correct whatever had happened with your body yesterday and then go on to your next day. Incidentally, and interestingly, there is a Harvard study that is published which says 27 minutes of yoga a day, just 27 minutes, and the impact stays with you for next 23 hours. So the next 23 hours, your body will stay immune. Your body will be in a position to take whatever comes your way, not just physically, mentally as well, psychologically as well. So just give yourself that 30 minutes of time. And that is one of the purposes that really I wanted to make this available to people. I wanted people to know that it's not very difficult. You don't have to take 1.5 hours, 2 hours or so. And coming from corporate background, I know how it is, to take out that kind of time for your own health. So that is the reason why I penned this book. And 30 minutes is just about 2% of your time. Yeah, that is the kind of importance you'll have to give to yourself, isn't it? You'll have to love yourself. Sir talked about liar. That is the kind of liar you have to have with yourself. Just 2% of your 24 hours. So just give that kind of time. And so I want to tell people, I want to tell the world, it is very, very easy to stay healthy. It is actually difficult to go away from to put the body to dis-ease, take your body away from the ease. So just stay disease free, stay healthy, and your body you'll be amazed to see how your body will respond, how much your body will support you to stay really healthy. So that is the purpose of writing my book, and I want to tell the world it is very, very, very easy. It's just that you need to put that kind of effort, little effort. Yeah.
Okay, my turn.
Yes, sir. The moment I keep quiet,
Okay, so mine was a more prosaic journey. Until 2008, I was just a corporate animal, doing whatever I did. But in 2008, I received an email from somebody, and he asked me, "Do you know Yogacharya Sundaram?" I said, "Yes, he's my grandfather." So he said, "What do you know about Yogacharya Sundaram?" So I was taken aback. I said, "Why do you want to know? I mean, Dadaji is Dadaji, he's my grandfather, and we take our grandparents for granted." So I said, "Why are you asking me this?" So he said, "Did you know that he wrote the world's first book on yoga?" And that kind of set me back. I stepped back and I said, "What? My grandfather wrote the world's first book on yoga?" So, but he said yes. And that is when I realized that I didn't know anything about my family in yoga. All I knew was at the age of 6 and 7, when I was at my grandfather's house, he would be teaching yoga. We would all be forced to wake up by 6 o'clock, and we would not get breakfast unless we completed our practice. So, in that sense, I was just practicing yoga like as if it was a normal routine from the age of 6. This changed the way I thought about yoga, and I actually went and started researching into my own family's legacy of yoga. Then I found out that my grandfather started South India's first yoga class in 1921. He wrote the world's first book on yoga in English in 1928, in Kannada in 1930, in Tamil. And then he wrote the world's first book on yoga therapy in Tamil. He started the world's first yoga publishing house dedicated to yoga. And my aunt, my father's eldest sister, is possibly the world's first Indian female yoga instructor. So once this came to me, then I realized I had a legacy. I could either use it or lose it. Now, until then, I had been writing blogs on various subjects related to yoga because I was deeply doing a lot of introspection. And at that time, I realized that I needed to do something about this. And I converted these blogs into a website. The website, the earlier part, the asana, pranayama, and yoga therapy part was easy because I had been exposed to it throughout my life. Then I moved into the concepts like karma, dharma, guna, and things like that, which are the underpinning concepts of yoga. That took me a little longer, but I had been working on this since I was 25, and so I had a fair amount of the information already available. Then I moved to the dharma part. What are we as a civilization? How did yoga become part of us? And then I started researching into the Vedas, the Vedanta, the Vedanga, the Shad Darshana, and Brahma Sutra, and things like that. And thereafter, I one day accidentally came across a book on Srimad Bhagavad Gita, which my parents had given to me when I was 15, when I was actually trying to get more material for the website. When I opened the book, to my shock, I saw that each chapter is a yoga. And then I realized that Srimad Bhagavad Gita is actually a book on yoga. Now, everybody had been talking about Srimad Bhagavad Gita as a spiritual book. But here Sri Krishna is talking about it as a yoga. So this kind of threw me off. I was wondering what is going on. I mean, whatever we thought was what it was is not what it is. So then I realized I needed to do research. And so I translated Srimad Bhagavad Gita from Sanskritam to English myself, because I did not want to take on a second hand somebody else's translation. So I did primary translation myself. And when I started doing the translation, the whole concept of Gita changed. I never realized it was such an enormous uh, pool of knowledge. It is a book of common sense. It is a book that allows you to manage change. I never realized it was such an amazing book. And then I actually completed the book. And then I did the translation, then I did the diacritics, then I wrote um, the commentary. Now, when you write a commentary, you need to have a target audience. Who is the target audience? Now, in this time, what had happened was, once I realized that I had a legacy, I had started researching into the yoga in India. And I realized that all the people who had learned from my grandfather had gone abroad and they had peddled yoga to us in so much that if you wanted to become a yoga teacher, you needed a certificate from some place called Yoga Alliance in the United States. It was completely, I was flabbergasted. I said, how can this be? This yoga belongs to my civilization, my people, and we have to go to someone else to authorize us to teach our own people. It didn't make sense at all. At the same time, I saw a variation of yoga called hot yoga, cold yoga, beach yoga. I mean, it was completely, it didn't make sense at all. And that is when I realized that we needed to reclaim our legacy. We needed to reclaim our civilization. This which had been taken outside and was being sold back to us. This was not correct, and it had to be redone with our civilizational context. And that is when I rewrote. So my entire aspect of doing yoga or Srimad Bhagavad Gita was in that context. Now, when that happened, I had to write the book in such a manner that the three aspects which I spoke about, the material aspect, the cognitive aspect, and the truth, are all covered. So throughout the book, Sri Krishna talks about the truth. But in order to make the cognitive aspect understandable, I adopted a very simple methodology. That was writing the book in bullet points and small sentences. I was very clear that it had to be short sentences so that people could understand it. And there are a lot of flow charts. So the entire thing was made into a form of a book, which anybody within the age group of 15 and 45 could understand. Because in my view, Bharat belongs to them. And they are the people who are going to inherit our civilization. And they must protect this civilization. So for me, it became very, very important that the generation which Sakshi ji and others belong to will understand and protect. Because if we don't protect our civilization, nobody else is going to do it.
True.
Yoga manual is similar. Yoga manual, okay, let me just show you some part of, I don't know if it's possible to see. You'll see the bullet points and things like that in the book. And you will see the diagrams that I have put in the book. So just a quick thing so that you realize that the book is filled with, it is not your normal Srimad Bhagavad Gita. This is a book of common sense. This is a book that teaches you to manage change. That's the first part. In terms of yoga manual, I have been working on this for nearly 35 years. And today, and I had rewritten the book almost 18 times. This book, what I how I designed the book was again using the three basic principles: the truth, layered by cognitive understanding of the truth, layered by application in daily life. So this is the book, and the way it is, you will see it is an A4 sized book. And here, if you will see that there is a explanation, and this explanation is backed by question and answers. So the explanation handles the cognitive part, and the question and answers guide you through a daily life, how to implement it in a daily life. And why do I do this? Because if you don't implement it in your daily life, how will you protect your civilization? After all, Bharat is a 6,000-year-old civilization. And the only way you can protect your civilization is by implementing or practicing yoga. So these are the two major motivations which drove me to writing these two books. Sakshi ji, over to you.
Yeah, I really resonated when, Madhavi mentioned the COVID and everything, because before that I was, in school and my college time, and very outdoorsy as a person. But during COVID, locked in a room, all the classes were online, everything was online. So I just used to sit in front of my laptop for 8 to 10 hours at a stretch, doing assignments and everything. And that was the first time when I started dealing with back pain. And I went to doctors, I took medicines and everything. But then I started doing yoga. And I'm very honestly telling, like, that changed, like, it affected me much better than any medicines could. And also I realized that when we do physical movements, you also feel better. You feel better about yourself, and your mood is just better in general. So I would also like to ask you, because you both have been practicing it for a long, long time. So, when on some days, if you're not able to, take out time for whatever reason, you're not able to take time out for yourself and do your regular asanas or meditation, do you feel, a little like change in your mood than the rest of the days when you actually do it?
So yeah, I think it does make a difference. But I'll answer this question from another angle. The day I do, okay, now we are talking about yoga, we are talking about the holistic existence. So when I do yoga, that day I feel really nice and good. The body feels light. And if I have to add another aspect of it, when I do yoga after fasting the previous day, I do this ekadashi fasting every 15 days. I fast. So when there's an ekadashi on the next day, when I get up and do yoga, my body is just, it's so light. I don't know, the kind of asanas that I think I cannot reach, I'm not flexible enough. The body just responds, so there is so much within our body. You don't really need any external help or external equipments, like no need to go to gym or no need to have any external assistance. Your own body is your teacher. Your own body takes you to extremes, to whatever level you want to go. So the body really bends, and and the day I do yoga, yes, it is, you feel really, really light and nice. So that is one aspect. And maybe sir can go ahead, and then I'd also like to add few more points. So you can go ahead about the days when you don't do yoga, how you feel.
I don't know. I don't know. There has never been a day when I've not practiced.
Awesome.
That's what I assumed as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know. Like, okay, I'm at the age where every part of my body creaks. Okay, but even though it creaks, I do my routine which my grandfather has taught. I've never really had a day when I'm not practicing.
Sir, I think Sakshi, really, I have to give to you and StoryMirror for putting both of us together. Like I said, we both approach the same subject from two very different ends of the spectrum. Sir had been in the family, like yoga has been a legacy for him. For me, it has been very accidental. I mean, if I would like to, share this with the audience, if any of you feel yoga is not for me, it is way too boring, trust me, I am you 8 years ago. 2016, I remember the year as well. I think end of 2015, early 2016, I happened to attend a yoga class. And after 40-50 minutes of class, the people who were conducting that class asked me, how was it? I said, yoga not for me. Yeah. I would rather go and run, And throughout the session, I was thinking, oh my God, what am I doing here? I would have caught up on my run or something. So the inspiration, I'll tell you, from there to writing a book based on yoga, you imagine what kind of journey it had been. So the inspiration has been the process. The process itself was an inspiration for me. When I really took to yoga, I found that immense change within myself. Like, it is not immense change means people ask me, like, did you meet with an accident, or have you been under depression? No, I have been a normal living individual. I was a normal corporate individual. I was heading after my Navy. Okay, a bit about myself, taking a bit step back. I was always an external person. Like, I wanted to, when I was in the Navy, I wanted to prove that women are no less than men. So I went on to top few courses, and that was I got full 12 months seniority and all that. So that was me when I was in the Navy. And when I was in corporate, I wanted to be the best, So, and when I was running, I took 2 marathons, half marathons. I wanted to do podium. So I did win some podium. So I wanted everything. When I do something, I wanted some result to show. When I run, I need to sweat. So when I did that yoga, nothing apparently changed for me. So I said, that is not for me. But that is what I think my instructor, that is another reason why you should have a very good instructor, the mentor or instructor or whatever. So when my instructor, I think, realized that, and he started throwing advanced asanas at me. Okay, you try to do this. Then I said, oh my God, I'm not able to do this. That was a challenge for me. Then I took to yoga very seriously. Then he said, okay, there is this state level competition happening. Why don't you go and see? I said, okay, I'll just go and have a look. And I went, and I happened to win silver medal. I said, oh, is it so? then from there was no looking back. Then I went to national level. Then I went to international level. I won international gold. So I approached yoga from that angle, and that was the practice part of it. I was just practicing yoga. I was a practitioner. I was still in my corporate job. After that, then I saw that difference in my own self. Then I realized there is something more to it. That's when I took to yoga as a theory. So when I studied yoga, then I understood the deep, deep impact it has on people, on individuals, on the mind and on the body. Then I started prescribing small, short courses or short asanas to people around. And again, I saw that the impact that it had, and I said, yes, this is my calling. I quit my corporate career and I completely took to yoga. I did complete course and yoga therapy course as well. And now I'm a practitioner and a preacher. And so again, my book is all about, especially for people like corporate netizens, you can call, the people who don't have time, just 30 minutes. And based on what your body is going through, I curated different modules. If you are a sit-in professional, there is a module for you, 30-minute module for you. If your profession involves a lot of standing, there is a module for you. If your profession involves a lot of speaking, there's a module. If you're a child, there is a module. If you're a senior citizen, I gave a module. If you're a housewife, there's a module. At your own house, there may be different people, or you yourself may be wearing different hats during different weeks. So you just pick up the book, and there is a module for you. Not just that, throughout the day, what you can do, and towards the end of the day, what is it that you can practice. So that's what I try to give in my book. And that has been my journey, and it's a very practical journey, and it has been a practical experience and exposure that I have put it together for people like me. For people who feel they don't have time, or who are really time crunched.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Also, I would request, the listeners, if you
I
have
think
any
there was
questions.
a question from one Kala Ramdas madam who has had a question.
Yeah, because if someone has a question, you can please go ahead and ask. Or if you want, you can type it in the chat box. That is okay. My question from your previous answer, Iyer sir, is that you said that a lot of Western people are now, they are learning it from us and then again teaching it back to us, right? So do you think or what are your views on this, that when the youth, the Indian youth, they they see a Western person teaching the same things which an Indian person is teaching in terms of yogas and asanas only. Do you think that the Indian youth also looks at them differently?
I would not be able to answer that question really, because I haven't really been exposed to how the Indian youth relate to an Indian teaching yoga. Because always I've seen my grandfather teaching foreigners, not the other way around. Um, the question is not quite so much about whether we look towards the West. I mean, there is a fair amount of truth in what you said, because we do quote Western people more than we quote Indians. For example, in yoga, you would quote somebody, an obscure white person or a Westerner, rather than Vivekananda or Aurobindo Ghosh.
Yeah.
It's not fashionable.
Exactly. I think it's just much cooler to follow the white man rather than.
Yeah. So now that is basically the kind of thought process that I'm trying to break. I'm trying to say that if we understand where we are coming from and how limited the way they talk about our system is, it is purely asana and some amount of pranayama and some amount of dhyana or meditation. That is not yoga. Yoga is, first of all, if you want to actually practice yoga properly, the first thing that you need is to clean the vessel. And which is the vessel? This. This is the vessel. If the vessel is full of khachada, if the vessel has a lot of rubbish inside it, can you cook in it? You can't. You have to first clean the vessel. So the first aspect of yoga is how we deal with the external environment. So we live, we go everywhere, we talk to people, we relate to people. The minute you go and get, let's get you are on your motorcycle or in your car, you go and somebody cuts you, and you get upset, right? You would immediately, your blood pressure goes up and you are willing to react. When you react, there is turbulence within yourself, and you've created, that person also gets turbulent. In the end, you're not at peace. The vessel has become dirty. Now, yoga, the fundamental thing is, if your vessel is not in a good form, to take the rest of the punishments that you get on a daily basis, you're not going to be able to evolve. So the first part is, how do you deal with the external environment? This is called yama. Yama. Then, when you get stimulus from others, some of it you will like, some of it you won't like. How can you be even-handed in both the like and the dislike part? Is what Sri Krishna calls dvandva, duality. How can you balance the duality and approach it in a dispassionate manner? Only when you do that, the internal parts of your vessels will start getting clean. It is after the vessel is cleaned that you can go to asana, which is the exercise part. Why is the asana part? Why do you need to do that? I'll give you a very simple analogy. When we use our muscles, the muscles have got two parts. One is called the compressor, one is called the tensor. And they are always a couple. They are always two muscles. When you press this way, one muscle will compress, the other will get tense. So when you let go, they come to neutral position. In asana, when you practice asana, whenever you are practicing, your muscles have to be in the non-tensed or non-compressed condition, so that the prana will flow through all the channels that are in between those muscles. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So first you need to clean the vessel.
Right.
Only when the vessel is clean will the maximum impact of asana be procured. Then you have pranayama. Pranayama is what you are basically, okay, I'll take the most elementary of all pranayama, breathing. We breathe in and we breathe out. When we breathe in, if the breathing is ragged, let's say how does the air go inside our body? It goes in through the nostril, through the septum, and enters what is called the nasal cavity, where it is directed by what they call turbinators.
Mm-hmm.
The air goes over the olfactory receptors and hits what is called the sphenoidal sinus. The hitting of the sphenoidal sinus creates a vibration in the skull. This vibration is somewhat similar to the Damaru of Shiva. There's a slight vibration, and that vibration tells you that you are alive. When the air moves over the sphenoidal the olfactory receptors, depending on the quality of flow of air, if the air is laminar, then there is no excitation of the olfactory receptors. When it is agitated or broken, what happens is that the stimulus is sent to what is called the limbic system. The limbic system comprises of the amygdala, the pituitary, hypothalamus, and the adrenaline. And the adrenaline then throws adrenaline and catecholamines into your body, and you face your threat or fight or flight reaction. Now, this has to be taken as a package. You cannot have one without the other. So what happens, to answer your question, foreigners focus primarily on the exercise and part of the pranayama. Whereas our system is far more holistic. It takes the individual as a composite entity and goes from the relationship with the environment to ability to manage the stimulus and then overall balance the person's existence on earth. Back to you.
Yeah, I think somebody had a question, Mr. Parameshwar Krishnan, but I think he got disconnected from the meeting. Okay, if he comes back, then we can go back. Meanwhile, if anyone else has a question, you can please ask. And my next question would be, from your years of writing and your the efforts and the time that you have put in your book, what is your favorite part about it, and what is like you think is the best takeaway from your books? Like which you would think would help or resonate with most people, or it would help most people?
In my case, it's very straightforward. Be selfish. You have to look at yourself. Be selfish. But you have to also recognize that you are part of a continuum. And first, you need to look after yourself. That requires, as Madhavi ji said, you have to be an overall package. You have to, first of all, be at peace with yourself, at peace with your environment, and you have to be physically fit. Otherwise, you'll be a nuisance to others. And if you can be fit, if you can be emotionally stable, then yoga is the best way to do it, because no matter what, yama niyama will enable you to live a fulfilled, behave well with the environment, relate to stimulus and shocks, manage change in a very nice manner. For me, the entire business of yoga is change management. Sri Krishna teaches you exactly how to manage change.
I think Mithilesh, they have a question. So please go ahead. You can ask. You can either unmute yourself or you can type in the chat box. Both is fine. I think he seems to love the session. He's
Okay. Thank you, Mithilesh ji. So I'll just continue and just close this one. Yeah. You can ask Madhavi ji also if you wish. Mm-hmm. The business of yoga is very cheap. You don't need any fancy clothing. You don't need any fancy equipment. Mm-hmm. And what you actually need is just to be selfish, Give yourself some time. In the morning, in the evening, it doesn't matter. Be selfish. Allocate that time and keep that time exclusively for self-preservation. If you can do that, and if you can try and understand what Sri Krishna is trying to say to us, then you will live a very fulfilled life. It is not a religious thing. Sri Krishna talks common sense all the time and how you should manage change. This is my takeout from years of practice.
And Madhavi, what would your takeaway from your book would be if you could just tell one?
Okay, so like Sir said, I'll take the cue from there. Be selfish. Be selfish. Spend that time on yourself. By all means, have your medical insurance, but don't get to use it. So just, it's just about staying healthy. It's just about giving that time for yourself. And one of my friends who read this book, he said, we all, like there are about 4-5 people at his place. He said, we all have taken our 2 pages. So because I wrote different modules, curated modules for different people, So, but for that, you need to read the entire book once because it takes you through the entire, natural living, little bit of diet, little bit of, managing your emotions and then those 30-minute modules. So he says, we all have picked our 2 pages, so that's what it is all about. It's a very small book. Pick your 2 pages, just give yourself those 30 minutes and spread health and spread happiness, live a joyful life. It's not at all difficult to live a healthy life. Like they say, Sharira Madhyam Kalu Dharma Sadhanam, it's also motto of AIMS. This body is itself a primary equipment. Whatever you want to achieve. Dharma doesn't mean just dharma, like the way we imagine it. Dharma is whatever you want to do. You want to go trekking, you want to sit and watch a movie, you should be able to sit for those 3 hours, right? Or you want to sit and write, or you want to go on a drive, you want to ride a bicycle, whatever it is, whatever you want to do. You have to do it through this body. This is the primary equipment. Might as well keep it healthy and live a qualitative and quantitative life. So that's what it is all about. And I try to make it really, really simple through the book. Yeah.
Very simple but effective. Thank you. These are the questions from my end. If anyone else has a question, or if you both have any questions for each other, then, you can go ahead. Also, I would like to show our books. This is 30 Minutes a Day to Immunity and Health by Madhavi. And then we have 2 books from Iyer sir, which is Seeker's Srimad Bhagavad Gita and the Yoga Manual. And all of our books are available on Amazon, on Flipkart, on our StoryMirror shop. There are a few discounts especially for Yoga Day and for you people. So I have put that in the chat box as well, and I will email it to all the participants as well. But yeah, I think the session has been really good. And if anyone has any questions, please feel free to ask. They're very approachable. If in fact, even if you want to, email your questions to them, I can get that connected. That's not an issue. But yeah,
they can also put it in the when you put it on YouTube, if they will if they will put the questions on the YouTube. I mean, from my side, I'm very happy to answer them. If required, I'm prepared to make a video later on and share it.
In any time, anything, yeah, pretty much.
So
because see, at the end of the day, we only know so much, and we think about it and we explain certain things at a particular level. But if everybody was to ask questions and to that makes it. I mean, we can add value to others as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have reached the end of our sessions. If you have any questions, if you have anything else to say, anything else to add, please go ahead.
I have only one thing to say, and that's one thing that I say everywhere. This civilization is 6,000 years old. It belongs to us. Only we can protect it. Nobody else is going to protect it. The only way you can protect Bharat is by practicing yoga. The yama, the niyama, asana, pranayama. This is a very simple, cheap way to do it. So please practice yoga. Please protect your civilization, be proud of who you are, and to answer your question, try to read the Indic versions of the book because they are very different from what people have told us who we are. We are not what they think we are. We are a very, very, very evolved kind of a civilization. Please read our books, Vivekananda, Aurobindo Ghosh, and others. It's very, very interesting how different the thought processes are. I'm done.
Madhavi, if you have anything else to add?
I think it just came to my mind, Sakshi, about your previous question. Two things I would like to add. One is about, you asked about foreigners,
Yeah.
One thing is, yes, we still, I think we still as a race try to, follow whatever the white land says. That is one thing. And second thing is, they are very, very research based. When they say something, they do a lot of research, and for whatever reason, good or worse, maybe we don't have those kind of funds, or research does take a lot of funds, or a lot of
Right.
it is not immediately it doesn't pay back immediately. So
Right.
we have a bit of disadvantage in that sense. So they are very research focused. So when I was checking about pranayam, when I was going through the research papers, there a lot of research papers were published by Western countries saying that Bhramari is an excellent pranayam, excellent technique for to combat COVID.
Right.
Our own techniques, but at least I'm happy that somebody is doing some kind of research on our techniques.
Yeah.
So that is one advantage they have. Maybe it is time that we collaborate and then take the research based approach to our deep rooted approach, and probably what is
No, actually, there is a lot of research available in India.
maybe it's not published. Yeah.
Kaivalya Dhama started doing research on yoga and other things way back in the 1920s. These universities are not very well known. This university near Bangalore called S. Vyasa, which does a lot of research. The issue is not, yes, Mr. Loganathan, you can practice yoga, but we'll come to that a little later. The point I'm making is that research is available. If you look at my book, Sakshiji, you've seen my book. It is completely logical, scientific, and it is based on a logical approach to how something happens and why it happens. The only difference between the West and us is the cognitive aspect. They talk about it purely in terms of transactional and material things. We talk about it more in terms of cognitive aspects, because without the cognition, you cannot have the material. That cognition is the base of the material aspect. We do have research. There is a lot of research. Some of that research, I agree, is sloppy. It is not done with rigor. But there is a lot of research that is done with that kind of rigor. The second thing is there is no, the methodology of research, I agree, the West has done a lot of it. But what is more important is the way the organizations in the West have got more prominence than the organization within India.
That is absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
So when we say Oxford, or when we say Harvard research, then suddenly our antennae go up. But yeah, and it's a very, very logical science. Like you said, yoga is a very logical science. If somebody gets into the logic, we don't really need to go to the research papers. Just stay with your own body, stay with your own self, see the impact you have on your own self, and then you don't really need to go and refer those books or read.
Yeah. So I'm just going to answer Mr. Loganathan's question. Well, I was in a very high pressure job, and around the age of 39, I was diagnosed with high blood pressure. I don't know your condition, so I can't answer your question directly. And the doctor said I must start taking high blood pressure medication. And I told him I'm not going to do that because my grandfather will shoot me. My grandfather was alive at the time. So he said, so what are you going to do? So I said, I'm going to practice yoga. I was overweight. I brought my weight down. and I increased the quantum of exercise, diet, and if I might tell you that within a few years, about 15 years it took me, but my blood pressure came down to 120 by 80. So it is possible. But I don't know your condition. No, all disorders cannot be healed through yoga. At the end of the day, you do need medical intervention in
Hmm.
most. See, some of these, let me put it this way. If you have lived a, a decent lifestyle, then yoga will be of help. If you're chronic diabetic or chronic asthmatic, it may be, it will help you to live a better life, but it cannot cure the disease. Very
Right.
often, it
Yeah.
cannot cure your diseases.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be also cautious on the limitations of what we call yoga. But definitely, it will improve the quality of your life. If you practice from an early age, then
Mm-hmm.
what happens is that your ability to sustain is longer. The quality of your life improves.
Yeah.
So you are able to meet the challenges of life. For example, without those daily exercises in the morning and the evening, I would not have been able to sustain. Uh, so 75, you can do some basic exercises, sir. That is not a problem. A simple thing like Vipirita Karani, it's on my website. You just need to do that. But you need to go to a doctor first. Without a doctor's assistance, see, I don't know the body condition. It's very important that yoga therapy is done through with the assistance of a proper yoga therapist. You should first consult a doctor to understand what are the limitations of your body. Then you go to this, and then you need to go to a therapist who understands what exercises can be given to you. Then over time, if you keep on working at it, you will start increasing. Your body itself will start telling you, I can do more. And then it will improve. And if you are since yeah, your sound your words your name sounds Tamil, please read my grandfather's book. Um, uh, he has written 14 books in Tamil, all of them on yoga, and especially for each. He wrote the world's first book on yoga therapy in Tamil way back in 1956. So you could read his book in Tamil as well. It will give you a lot of insights into uh, a good life. Anybody else? There were some notices I didn't notice.
Name
Name
of
of the book. I will give the name of the book to Sakshi ji and she'll put it in the description.
Definitely. I'll also share it over emails because I have everyone's
Okay. Okay.
thing. Yeah. So
If
anyone else has a question?
Yeah, if I may just add to whatever Sir said, with
Yes.
your permission, Sir, yoga is a wonderful preventive maintenance technique, excellent preventive maintenance, and this is something that you must do. Like if you buy a car, without thinking, you keep servicing it. 1,000 kilometers. Oh yeah, 5 years. Oh yeah, whatever. But you don't give that kind of importance to your body. So your body needs preventive maintenance, and yoga is supreme technique
Yes.
for that. And once something happens, if you have crossed over something, you're diabetic or something, still you can do yoga again under supervision, and it acts as an excellent supportive tool. Then it plays a supportive role.
Very
Mhm.
true. Very true. Very true.
Okay, that was. I hope your question is answered, Mr. Lokanathan. And if anyone else has any question, after the session, also, if you want to
Yes.
ask, that
Reach
is
out.
all fine.
No
Yes.
problem. Please reach out.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
problem.
So, like I said, I have put the links of the books in the chat box. Our books are available on discount on Amazon and StoryMirror shop. There is a specific coupon code for StoryMirror shop, which I have also added in the chat box. I will email it to you and I'll message everyone on WhatsApp. So that was from me. Thank you, everyone, for taking out your time to attend I hope you all had fun. Thank you. I saw a lot of reactions going down, so which tells me that everyone enjoyed the session. It was very informative, very knowledgeable. Thank you to Madhavi ji and Vishwanath sir for taking out their time and uh, taking our audience's questions as well. Thank you so much, and yeah, thank you. And
No, Mithilesh ji, Singh ji had a question.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mithilesh ji, do you have a question? Oh, okay. Okay.
He's just applauding. He's very happy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.
Yeah, everyone liked it. So thank you. And we'll just take a leave. And again, thank you very much to everyone for joining. And thank you, both of our authors, for taking out your time and spreading your knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much,
Thank
Sakshi.
you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for being there.